Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be going over growing your advocacy resume. First, we're going to go over a little bit of what we're going to talk about today. I'll make sure to keep it brief. I know everyone is busy and have lots of things to do. So first, we're going to talk about pursuing what interests you. Then we'll head on to building connections and the importance of building your connections. The do's and don'ts to presenting yourself as well as growing your resume, and what an actual advocacy resume looks like. When we talk about growing your resume, we have to talk about what type of advocate you want to be. There are so many different forms of advocacy. And of course, you can cross boards and go across all areas, but sometimes you can find the areas that are particular and that you're good at and that fit to you. First, we'll review the individual advocacy. An informal advocacy, one-on-one support provided to a person to prevent or address instances of unfair or treatment or abuse. And then there's voluntary community-based organizations, also known as a CBO. Doing an informal advocacy and being an informal advocate means that you're going to hospitals and being with persons who are in the hospital or ill, who might need help, who might need a voice when they don't have one. Also offering advice or sound advice as well as and also just offering a shoulder to cry on. If you are and decide to go the route of an individual advocacy, there are some things that you have to understand, and it's understanding how to speak the language is a big one. The medical ease of all of it. Doctors speak in different languages, I think sometimes to maybe confuse patients, but having a great understanding of what all of those terminology means and all those things means that you can help someone else and yourself in a better way. Also, understanding the 2014 NHLBI guidelines, recommendations for dealing with acute pain. That is a very great resource for any person who wants to become an individual advocate. And also working with CBOs. I know that a lot of sickle cell patients, have CBOs in your area, and they can be very great and resourceful in offering you words and terminology and help in understanding exactly how you fit in the greater scheme of sickle cell advocacy. Next, we have self-advocacy. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's just individual speaking for him or herself. It's sharing your story. It's being your advocate for yourself. After that, we have group advocacy. People with shared experiences, positions, or values coming together in groups to talk and listen to each other and speak up collectively about issues that are important to them. Group advocacies range from support groups to friends to colleagues, just getting together to understand the greater good behind why you want to advocate. In this case, it would be sickle cell. And also we have systems advocacy, an effort to change policies, rules, or laws which determine how services are provided. This is understanding national, state, and city laws. Very knowledgeable on the disease at a molecular level, learning and understanding genetics behind sickle cell, and understanding how to speak legalese in regards to how to move the bar forward with what we as sickle cell patients go through, and fighting on the grander scheme. Advocacy involves speaking on behalf of yourself and others, and doing that and shining the best light on sickle cell as possible. Next, we're going to review a little bit about building connections. It's important to understand how to build connections. Something that we want to think about while we're going through this is, and a way to build connections and network is connecting with different organizations. So right now, it's easy to connect with a CBO or a community-based organization in your area. Ask for help. You can grow your resume very easily by simply going and asking, how can you help, or how can they help you? Because most community-based organizations are a two-way street, right? You help them and they help you. Connecting with those people can actually further your advocacy career. Speaking to your current medical providers and practitioners, asking your medical team. For me, I have had a few great hematologists who have helped get my foot in many doors that I would not have gotten into otherwise, by using them and their connections to go out and speak on behalf of myself and behalf of other sickle cell patients. I've talked to nurse practitioners, social workers, but they all belong to me, and I have, openly welcomed serving their needs as far as being a patient advocate. Next is using your social media. Join Facebook groups, seek out fellow warriors, and network as much as possible. That doesn't just mean Facebook. It means Instagram, it means Snapchat and LinkedIn. All of the connections that you can build on those platforms alone, they will drive your movement further. You will be able to connect in a meaningful way using those sites. But remember, while you're in social media groups, to remain professional. I oftentimes see people, going off the cliff, and, while that's how you're feeling, it can reflect poorly on you. So it's important that while you're advocating or you're connecting with people in Facebook groups, to make sure that you maintain professional connections and make sure professionalism at all times, because that can bleed over into someone saying, hey, I saw that, I don't think they'd be right for my job, or B, saying, you know what, they handle themselves very well, this would be a great addition to a project or to something that I'm working on. Go to conventions, local health fairs, events, and network. Going to conventions, it's a lot of fun, and sometimes it's costly, but a lot of times conventions offer scholarships. They offer per diem for travel. You have to kind of do the research and do the work, feet on the ground, call all the places that you know and say, hey, is there any way that I can come to your convention? I really want to come this year, or I want to come next year, and plan it out. Conventions and local health fairs and events are a great way to network and get your name out there, because when your face is out there, your name is out there. And present your story. Share why you have a passion for advocacy and where your dream lies. Take public speaking classes. This goes along with building connections, because a lot of times people are so afraid to speak in public that they're really afraid to go up to someone and ask for help, ask for a network, instead being shy. I mean, for me, I know that I have sometimes a big shyness when it comes to going out to people, but I know public speaking classes have helped me a lot with that. Know your stuff. It's important to know a lot about sickle cell. There's so many different types of sickle cell. There's so many different ways people deal with sickle cell. So understanding that everyone's story is unique is so, so important. So knowing your stuff, knowing the background, how sickle cell works, will help you understand that everyone's story can be a lot different from your own. And then understanding that, that there's beauty in those differences. Become a partner with the Sickle Cell Community Consortium. This is a shameless plug, but the Sickle Cell Community Consortium is a great institution for meeting people, who are like-minded, who enjoy advocacy, who love the fight and the plight of the sickle cell warrior. And volunteer. Advocacy is not a place where you're going to make a ton of money, but it is a place to where you can really build up a lot of heart work. Heart work is work that makes you a happier individual. So volunteer, get involved, go to hospitals and volunteer, go to your local CBOs and volunteer, give your time away, because when people see that you're a hard worker, they're more inclined to want to invite you back again and again. Some of the do's and the don'ts. Do present yourself well while attending events. I can't stress the importance of looking the part. People will look at you and understand exactly where you fit in. And you want to make sure that you look the part. If you are having a really bad day and you look crazy, people will be like, they will remember that. And they may not ask you for the future to come to a professional event because you didn't look the part. Business casual is always a great solution while attending certain events. Or if you're going to a walk or to a run or to a blood drive, you know, you still want to keep it professional, but you can dress the part. So, you know, you can wear whatever you're wearing and maybe put on a t-shirt that represents you supporting the sickle cell community. But dressing the part is very, very important. Do take notes when meeting someone new, and then follow them on social media. It's important that when you meet someone, you remember their name. A lot of times I have a bad memory, so I'll carry around a notepad, and after I get done talking to someone, I'll write down their name, who they are, when I met them, and a quick something about them so that I can go and look at them later on social media and say, hey, hello, my name is. That way, once I have given them some type of reference, they can say, oh yeah, I remember speaking with you. It's a great way to make a connection, and it's a great way to get your foot out there. Be polite. Look, you don't have to like everybody, but being kind never killed anyone. So there are a lot of people out there who are like, yeah, I don't really like her, but she was always kind, she was always professional. So, you know, you don't have to like everyone. Not everyone's personalities are gonna necessarily gel with each other, but they will, in fact, remember if you were polite and kind. Don't think you are more important. Everyone has a unique story. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to warriors, especially working on special projects that I've worked on, and people have come to me thinking that their story is like no other and they are the most important person in the world, and how big of a turnout that has been for me. I believe that it is so important to believe and realize that everyone's story is so unique. I find so many people so interesting, and everyone has a unique story, and I'm so excited to hear others' stories. While my story is unique to me, I don't think my story is the best and the be-all, but I do love my own story because, of course, it's mine. So it's okay to love your story, and it's okay to think that you are important, but you can't be more important than everyone you're talking to. You can't look down at people. Don't interrupt when people are speaking. Myself, I find this so challenging, and I say this with a grin, but I know how important it is. I often catch myself getting excited in moments, and so I wanna talk and interrupt, and I have to remember, pull back, they're speaking, and keep in my head, listen, be an active listener. It's so important. Do show your best self. As warriors, we have bad days. We have really bad days, and sometimes we have to work through those bad days. I know a warrior right now who is currently working through a really bad day. And the thing is she didn't present herself crazy, and she didn't present herself faulty. She came at me and she was like, hey, let's get this done. And I respect that, because the thing is showing your best self is so important. We have more bad days than people will ever know, but it is important to bring the best of you that you possibly can, because people remember that. They remember that she was having a really bad day, yet she didn't falter. Don't be late. That speaks for itself. Do be a team player, and don't be argumentative. I notice a lot of people have that argumentative bone built into them, where they want to argue their own points. And I think it's important at times sometimes to take a step back and to be a team player. While you may not always agree on all the key points, as long as your mission and your goal are the same, understand that that's the important part. Don't be argumentative means that it's not that you don't want to state your place and state where you stand, but it just means that there are great ways to go about something, and there are not so great ways to go about something. Do ask for feedback. We can always get better. And we have really bad presentations and we have really great ones. So make sure that you're asking for feedback. Make sure that you get all of the information back from people, so that way you can get better. We can always grow. Do say yes when offered new opportunities. I can't tell you how many times I have said yes to something or said no to something because I was tired or exhausted. But I try my best to say yes to most new opportunities. I may not be a repetitive customer on a new opportunity, but I will say yes at least the first time. It gets your foot in the door, and as long as I'm capable and able, I will go. But with that said, don't put your health at risk in order to say yes. We have it built into our genetics, sickle cell warriors, sickle cell alike, my sickle cell family, to work and work and work and get it done till we drive ourselves in the ground and end up in the hospital. It is not fair to our bodies or our minds or our souls that we work so hard and get driven. We don't have anything to prove. So don't put your health at risk in order to say yes. Sometimes it just has to be a hard no. Do have a separate corporate and resume and advocacy resume. If you are not a full-time advocate, then you need to have both. While people are excited to get to know you, they don't want to know how long you worked at Target. They do want to know how long you volunteered at your local hospital, because I think there's something there that's more important. So I do personally have a corporate resume. I'm a photographer. I take pictures of babies. So I do have a very corporate resume, and I work in logistics and marketing, but then I also have my advocacy resume. And my advocacy resume is strictly that. It's sharing over my career of what I've done as an advocate. And I have most things listed, but not all things, because I don't want to go back forever. Do ask for help and clarification when you don't understand or know how to do something. I think that this is where a lot of people fail, is because they simply just didn't ask. While it may seem like you're bugging the life out of someone, if you don't understand, you need to ask for help. That's how you move forward in this world and in this realm. If you don't understand something, call someone who you feel comfortable asking and ask them. And maybe they'll feel comfortable asking someone else if they don't know the answer. But make sure that you get the answers that you need. It is very, very important, and this will help you grow. And do make sure you are reachable. This is the last point I have on here because it's so important. I can't tell you how many times I have wanted to use certain warriors and certain projects, and I could not find them. I couldn't find them on Instagram. I couldn't find their emails. I couldn't find their phone numbers, and they were very hard to get a hold of. So if you want to have just a web page for your advocacy, or a blank sheet, or sign up for LinkedIn and have a sheet where you can be reached, that way people can get a hold of you. And that means that if you're more accessible and able to get a hold of, you're more likely to be used for jobs in the future. What you should list on your resume. These are just some big bucket items that I think would look great on your resume, on your advocacy resume. Of course, there's different terminology that you could use, but this is the basics. So a biography of yourself. Something that's telling, that's going to lift you up, that's going to make you sound like you are able to walk on water. Everyone should have a great bio. Any of your volunteering, speaking events, publications, conference attendance, and participation, I believe should be listed. However, I do believe that they should probably be listed at the end of your resume, unless you have done something at the conference, whether you served or you worked, that could be listed separately. And then your education. And then also you want to list your certifications. That's important because that goes kind of with your education. Your awards and acknowledgments. I think it's important to list that if you have received any awards and acknowledgments. Your boards, special projects, and social media. Of course, you want to be able to be connected to people. And if people can see your social media on your resume, then that's great. Here is a sample of my resume. I'll go over it quickly. It's not to spend too much time on it, but I do have a biography. I have my advocacy work. And then on top of that, I have what do I'm currently doing? What are the things I'm currently working on? But although it's not in date necessarily chronologically, it's more in date grouped, it's more presented by groups of the things that I do. So people can quickly say, how has she advocated? I am a board member. I'm a presenter. I'm a patient advocator. I'm a mentor. I'm a photographer. All these things are current. I'm currently doing them. I'm currently working on them. They're just in different ways. And then publications. These are the publications that I have both helped co-write and also have been written about. I don't have them delineated because realistically, I don't think that really anyone cares. Maybe they do. Someone may tell me that later. Also, any television appearances that you have done. I would also list any podcasts that you maybe have done, or video casts, YouTube videos that you've done. I think that that's important as well. Education. If you have any education, here's where you would list it. You want to list out, any primary, secondary, tertiary schools, or, collegiate schools, postgraduate degrees. And then you also want to list, I would say list your Facebook groups that you're involved in, and or any other groups that you're involved in. All items on this resume, though, are specifically about sickle cell, except for my education. I hope this helped you out a lot. I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.